Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Thursday, December the 11th, 2025. It's an okay episode. Yeah, it's all right. Moved a little bit. Um, Before I begin, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and follow and we're on a race to 6,000. So all the subscribers or all of you that are watching and haven't subscribed, right at the bottom of the right hand on your screen, you're going to see subscribe. Just click it and subscribe. Now, I have a missing persons alert for you. Missing person. Remember, we were a little happy because we saw Obred back. Where'd she go? They did not need her at the table sitting with Nina and Ava as Drew came in talking about his wedding. All they used her for was to do this silly bridge between Nina and Willow. They didn't even utilize her talent to reconcile with her own daughter. What's going on, everybody? Obret would be a absolute asset to this storyline with Brit's medication. But perhaps the new writers don't understand Lizo's history. She's worked with Faison before in the lab creating stuff. Truth be told, she probably created or helped Faison create the serum for his Huntington's disease. It just dawned on me the other day. Wait, where's Liesel? Because guess what? She didn't even attend the wedding. She didn't even go. So anyway, I hope the actress is okay. But let's get the nonsense out of the way. Trina and Kai. Nonsense, useless. I'm beginning to think I didn't know my father at all. I mean, he could have done it, you know. And I'm saying this in right here at the PCPD, stressed out and frantic. My father had motive. He could have done it. Kai? And I'm like, girl, would you shut up? Oh my goodness. Goes down there. Dad, did you really lie to the police? Yeah, Trina, I lied to the police. He goes, I have no reason to lie to you, especially about me and Jordan's relationship. But yeah, I lied to the police. Well, why did you lie? There were reasons, Trina. Then who were you with at the Savoy? Was it Jordan? You had to be alone with Jordan? And he looked at her and he said, if I was alone at the Savoy with Jordan, why would I have to leave the Savoy and meet Jordan at the Brown Dog, Trina? Oh, I guess you're right. That would not make any sense. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh my God, what a waste of screen time here, right? So Jordan comes down. They call her to the PCPD so she can sign the statement she made when Nathan was interviewing Curtis and Jordan was there, right? So she signs it. It was in order. She signs it. And she said, what's going on, Dante? And he says, well, some new evidence has come to light. And she goes, okay. New evidence to turn the suspicion on Curtis. New evidence to turn suspicion away from your brother. And Dante's looking at Jordan, right? You know, this new evidence. Are you going to petition the DA to drop the charges against Willow? And Dante says, well, we're not petitioning the DA to do anything right now. Right now, we're getting the facts. We're getting the information. And Curtis omitted the fact that Selena Wu, he was not alone at the Savoy. Selena Wu came to visit. Now, this is where they don't think. What has Selena Wu always wanted? To buy the Savoy. They're asking Curtis, why were you at the Savoy alone with Selena Wu? 'Cause she approached me. She briefly came into town and she wanted to see if I would sell her the Savoy. Right? I told her for the 99th time, no, I still don't want to sell my Savoy, even though I work full-time at Aurora. We had a drink, a real quick drink, and as far as I know, she had a plane to catch. Case closed. Seriously, case closed. How can they find Selena? They can't. If Selena don't want to be found, Selena's not going to be found. They didn't know she came into town. They didn't know she left. But that would be my official statement. It makes all kind of sense that she was there trying to buy the Savoy. That's just me, y'all. That's just me. And the way I would have had Curtis respond. So now let's talk about Portia with her pains, her abdominal pains. So we pick up today with Isaiah in an examining room with Portia, and Britt comes in and she says, Dr. Robinson, you wanted to see me? She says, yes. She goes, well, actually, I want to see Dr. Navarro, but she's in surgery. There are no other OBGYNs on duty, and it would take too long to call somebody in from home. So I need you to examine me. And Isaiah's standing there going, he goes, well, excuse me, but in order for her to examine you, she would have to have a medical license. And so Britt said, I happen to be one of the best OBGYNs in this entire hospital, or the best in this hospital. And he says, yeah, but a doctor has a, and Portia says, stop it. I need Britt to examine me now. I need to make sure this baby is fine. And Isaiah, he eyes get big and he looks, but he can't give it away too much. So he's looking, and Portia's not even looking at him, right? So Britt says, I need you to leave, Dr. Gannon, so I can examine Dr. Robinson. So he goes out and he's standing there. Britt's examining Portia, and Britt's telling her, listen, asking her questions, and she's saying, okay, listen, you're not going to lose this baby tonight. Let's, I need you to calm down, because the calmer you are, the better you're going to be. I'm right here with you, okay? So Britt examines her. She comes out and she said, excuse me, Dr. Gannon, can you come here? So he comes into the room and he looks at Portia, and Portia glances at him, and Britt hands him the, iPad and her tablet and says, I need you to get, no, she goes, I need you. She didn't even let him in. She goes, she out leading out the room. Britt says, I need you to get Dr. Lucas Jones here right away. And Isaiah goes, oh, okay. Right. He runs to the elevator. He finds Lucas. He says, Dr. Robinson's needs you right away. I think on the 10th floor, whatever. So Lucas says, oh, okay. Lucas comes into the room and he sees Britt and he goes, what is she doing here? And Britt said, I am here because I examined Dr. Robinson and we need these labs run. But since I am not a licensed doctor, I can't order these labs run. But it's crucial that they be run right away. And he looks at Britt and he looks at Dr. Robinson and she's like, yep. And he goes, okay, okay. So he runs out, he submits the lab, put in those lab requests. And then he comes back later and he says, um, Britt, here are the labs that you ordered. Because they're outside of Portia's room right now. Gannon is still outside. And she goes, okay, thank you. And he goes, but a word, please, before you go in. So Britt's thinking, here we go. So she's following Lucas because remember, he's still a doctor. She's just an employee. She has to pretty much, he's a superior. So they walk away. He takes her around the corner. Isaiah beelines into that room, beelines into Portia's room. But I want to stick right now with what Lucas says to Britt first. She goes, okay, I know, look, I know I don't have my medical license. Dr. Robinson requested me to do this. Yes, I did do it. Okay. And yes, I know what I'm doing. He says, yes, you do know what you're doing. And he goes, and you do it very well. And she says, wait, what? He says, the reason why I wanted to call you over here is I wanted to tell you that I am willing to help you. And she says, wait, what? He goes, I will submit a letter of recommendation on your behalf for you to get your medical license back. And I haven't seen Britt Westbourne truly smile this way. This was the first time. I mean, genuine Dr. Seuss kind of grin right out her. Oh my goodness. She said, really? She goes, and you don't even like me. He says, no, I don't. Mm-mm. He's like, still don't? Nope. He says, but the work you did when Ned Quartermain had his heart attack, and just by the test you're ordering for Dr. Robinson, you still a darn good doctor. And she goes, well, yes, I am. But, and he says, now, honestly, I don't see what Brad ever saw in you with being best friends with you. She's like, oh God, I know. I know. Everybody says I was a bad influence on Brad. And he goes, no. He said, Brad made Brad's own choices. He made his choices, not your choices. And she just looked at him like, wow, you're going to acknowledge that? So she was just, thank you, thank you. Oh, she's so, look, Britt's gonna have her license back next week. Watch. What I want to know is how she gonna juggle being a doctor and working at that doggone lab. That's what I want to know. Because it's not two of her. So anyway, now let's get into Portia's room. Isaiah snuck in And she goes, he goes, are you okay? She goes, uh, yes, Britt says that I'm gonna be fine. And the next thing out of his mouth, is the baby mine? And she just looks at him. And now he's over next to her. And she says, I don't know. And he says, well, why don't you get a paternity test? Because she goes, it could be Curtis's baby. And he just looked and he thought, okay, well, she is married to him, right? How can I say, oh, you mean you slept with your husband? Right? Anyway, um, so he goes, well, why have you not gotten a DNA test? Is it because you don't want to know if the baby's mine or not? She says, no. You know as well as I know. The higher risk of miscarriages are in the first trimester, which is what I thought was happening to me today. Adding that type of DNA test, no, it can be done when I'm in my second trimester. She said, which is next week. I only have one more week to go. She says, then it's safer to do a DNA test. And so he goes, yeah, oh, you're right. Yeah, he wasn't gonna balk it. He's a doggone doctor, right? And so he says, but I have to ask, if I hadn't been here, he goes, does Curtis know you're pregnant? And she says, yes. And then he kind of got a little butthurt look on his face. He does. So she goes, look, Jordan figured it out. Jordan ran to Curtis and told Curtis. And when Curtis came to me, I wasn't going to lie in his face. I mean, you're going to know soon enough, right? So he says, okay, but if I hadn't found out and you got the paternity test, would you have ever told me that the baby was, and if the baby was mine, would you tell me the baby's mine? And she looked at him and she said, yes, Isaiah, I would tell you. I am not going to repeat the same mistake I made over 20 years ago with Trina. I'm not going to do that same thing. And he's like, okay. So she says, he's sitting next to her. She says, now that you know. And she's kind of excited, right? She goes, do you want to be a father? And I was expecting Isaiah to say yay or nay, or I hadn't thought about it. He said, you know what? Let's not talk about that right now until we know who the baby's father is. And she says, oh, okay. And then he gets up and he leaves the room. Not because he's pissed at her or nothing, but remember, he snuck in when Britt and Lucas were talking. Because he's still supposed to be incognito. They are. Britt ain't stupid. She's kind of looking. So Portia's like, okay, he knows. You know, so we shall see what's going on with that. Now, um, let's talk a little bit about, oh, Trina. Remember I said Trina was talking to Curtis, a little snippy with her, and questions to him. And he goes, when he told her, I do not have to lie about my relationship with Jordan. She says, and Trina, when Jordan and I were at the Brown Dog, no, Jordan and I, there was nothing, as far as she and I, nothing going on. I have never cheated on your mother ever, right? And then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, except when you kissed Jordan that time, when Portia's random brother Zeke was in town, and Jordan drunkenly told this stranger she kissed her ex. Even though Jordan and Portia were separated, they were still married. Come on now. They were definitely still married. Yeah, they were. I was just figuring out, or were they? Was this right before the wedding? Maybe and Curtis kissed a week before the wedding. I'm kind of thinking it was because Zeke was there for the wedding. Hmm. I don't know, and who cares, right? Who cares? So anyway, um, Jordan comes in and Trina looks away from her father in the cell, looks face Jordan like this. She's like, and Jordan was like, "Oh, I am sorry. I did not know you already have visitors down here. I could come back later." And Curtis was like, no. Trina's like, I'm done anyway, right? Kai and I are done. So she says, Dad, I will be there for your arraignment later. And she's turning to walk out, and she looks at Jordan like this. As she walks out, and I'm like, oh my God, miss me with that. Miss me with that attitude, chick. It's sickening and childish. So that's when she goes upstairs talking to Kai all about the personal business in her. Well, okay, y'all do you. So, Dante and Nathan. See, where's Chase? Like I said, Chase can't be at the precinct when Nathan's at the precinct. Isn't that interesting? Now, remember when they brought Chase in, even though they're on camera together now, they don't look nothing alike, but they kind of patterned Chase to kind of resemble Nathan, right? But anyway, he goes, okay, Dante says, we need to find a link. Now, a link to someone who went to Drew's house. He goes, oh, we went over he goes, what about the camera footage, CCTV footage? Let's go over that again. So they're looking at files, and Dante goes, what's this? Why do both of these files say, video or camera 65? There can't be two camera 65s. One of them has to be camera 66, right? And Nathan says, hey, yeah, look at that. And I'm thinking, yeah, golly gee, bozos. Golly geez. Drew was shot in September. This is December. And you're just now noticing there's an error in the camera footage? So anyway, he goes, look, get officer so and so up here. I guess the guy that's the little tech. We need to take a look at both of these files, right? So the officer or Nathan and him, well, the officer, I think, or Dante was saying, okay, cameras from the direction of east or west or whatever, they're from the residential area, and the residential area has less cameras. But cameras on the opposite side, it's a lot of commercial, there are more cameras there. So the officer comes up and he's looking and he goes, so that means, he goes, okay, and they clicked on this file. And Dante says, okay, so this file has never been seen before. And I'm thinking, yeah, Dante, and that's when you were a detective. See, that's when Anna was chief. You were detective. You were responsible for that, Dante. But you were too busy with Obret possibly seeing Rocco at poolside, right? When the pool summer was over. Obret seeing Rocco. You couldn't do police work. Or you were too busy worrying about how you messed up with Geo. And now he won't speak to you. So they're looking through, and the guy's looking. Okay, Dante says, okay, okay, let's go to here. Okay, okay, wait, hold on. Slow down a bit. No, no. Okay, stop right there. Make that larger. So he and Nathan are looking, and they're looking and they see somebody. And Nathan says, well, look at there. There we have it. So I think Dante may have said, here's our shooter. Now, the problem I have with what they even just did right there, they had it stopped right there. They didn't keep viewing more of the tape. Because even if right now they're looking at Michael, which they probably are, right? They need to keep looking because Willow could be driving right by Michael, parking her car, going in, all kinds of things. But stop right there. And it's like, no, what do you mean stop right there? That's how you jumped to the wrong conclusion of the first time. The gun was found in Willow's place. Stop right here. She did it. Well, she did. And my whole being says Willow did it. If they have decided September, what, October, November, 3 months later to say, nah, we're not gonna have Willow have done it. Now we rewriting stuff, which they're doing. The whole Selena Wu thing, they throwing all that in, right? I'm gonna be pissed. So needless to say, back at Alexis's house, and this is the last little group of story. Remember Nina ran in, says they made an arrest in the case of Willow. You are going to be acquitted soon because uh, they already are looking at someone else. And Alexis says, wait, what? I haven't heard that they've arrested someone else in connection with Drew's shooting. And so she goes, I was there when no, I was there. So Drew turns to Willow, and he goes, finally, they have arrested Michael. You are going to get your kids back now. And Willow's looking at him. And Nina says, wait. It wasn't Michael that they arrested. And Drew looked, what? And Willow looked. And Alexis looked. She goes, who did they arrest? And she goes, Curtis Ashford. And Drew was like, because see, in Drew's gut, he feels Curtis did it, right? Except I think when Drew remembered something the other day, he remembered it was Willow. But anyway, we haven't addressed that yet. So Alexis's assistant says, look, I've got some connections down at the courthouse. Let me make some calls to some of my connections, see what I can find out. So she comes back and she says, yes, there was an arrest warrant for Curtis Ashford filed, and they're searching his office at Aurora. She says, yes. And so they were like, whoa, oh my goodness. So Drew is thinking, oh, shoot, messes me up, right? So Alexis is over at her desk typing some stuff. I don't know what maybe typing a look. I want an immediate, dismissal, even though she's just probably just typing that up because it's too soon, right? Drew's standing all over her looking at everything she typing, but Alexis is just ignoring it. So Willow and Nina are talking the other side of the room. And Nina says, okay, so if Curtis did it, and you are now, the charges are dropped against you, what does this mean for you? And they look at Drew. And Willow just looks and she goes, I don't know, but I can't talk about this right now. And Nina's like, oh, okay. See, Willow ain't even playing. She might be playing in the bed with Drew, faking, but she's like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. Uh-huh. You rush to marry him and you acquitted anyway. Hmm. Or not even acquitted. The charges against you are dropped. So, Curtis talks to Jordan and he tells her, she goes, so here you are. And he goes, yeah. He says, and I'm thinking, he goes, but you know what? I have an idea, but I'm gonna need your help. And Jordan's just looking at him. So then they show Jordan upstairs calling Drew. And Drew looks down at Alexis because remember she typing and he sees it's Jordan and he goes, I gotta take this. So he steps away from Alexis and Alexis kind of glanced like, good, get from over me. Oh my God, right? So he steps away, goes, what do you want? She goes, well, first of all, your customer, I mean, what did she say? I forget the word she used, not bedside manner, that's for a doctor. You know, your telephone etiquette needs some work. And she goes, I'm here to deliver I'm calling to deliver a message for you. And when she says whatever message, they don't let us hear. And uh, Alexis's assistant came back, gave some more information that her contacts folks told her. And Drew says, listen, I hate to do this, but I've got to go get on a call, an important call. Um, I will have to see you later. And Willow says, oh, I'm fine here. Don't worry about me. I'm good. And so he looks at Nina and he goes, Nina, I'm sure they need you back at Crimson. In other words, get out. And I'm thinking, oh, uh-uh. And so he goes, can I give you a ride back to Crimson? And she goes, why, Drew, that's so nice of you. But no, I drove my own car. So they both leave at the same time, right? And Willow said, well, thanks for coming to give the information, right? Now, mind you, back at Crimson, Michael comes to see Jacinda in Nina's office. Nina said she was taking the rest of the day off. And Jacinda had just taken a message for her at her office, and she's looking at that rack of couture designer dresses or whatever designers they're from. Ooh, so she had to try on one, and it looked fantastic on her, right? Actually, look, Jacinda need to be the new face of deception. Really? So Michael comes peeking through the door, and Jacinda looks, and she goes, oh, you caught me, I just had to try on this dress. I know it probably doesn't look really good on me. And Michael stepped in and he closed the door. He goes, oh no, it looks great on you. And she kind of smiles and she goes, Nina's not in. He goes, I'm not here to see Nina. Right? So they're talking, and he was saying that they had just arrested Curtis down. I guess Crimson is up above the Aurora offices. He goes downstairs. They just arrested Curtis for the shooting of Drew. And if Curtis shot Drew, that means Willow's gonna go free. And he's like, oh. So she says, and that won't look good for you, us seeing each other, because we'll have Willow. No, he goes, Willow's going to be able to play the wrongfully convicted of shooting. And Jacinda goes, her now husband, the congressman. And here you are dating a hooker. She goes, Michael, we need to stop seeing each other right now because I'm going to hurt your case. And so he goes, because she goes, you won't need me as an alibi anymore if Curtis is convicted. And so Michael says, look, Jacinda, he says, it's not just about an alibi between you and I anymore. He says, it's gotten much more deeper than this. And she looked at him. She goes, I feel the same. He said, and especially after last night. She says, I don't take clients to my place ever. I took you because you're not my client. And he says no, and it felt right, and whatever. So they're kissing, making out, and I thought, wait, hold up, y'all. You're not in Michael's office, right? And so uh she's starting to unbutton his shirt and they're kissing and he's gonna unzip the dress. And so she goes, wait. Oh my God. She goes, I cannot ruin this designer dress. So she steps back to the dress rack and she lets the dress fall to the ground. And, the camera's on her feet, and all we see is the dress fall to the ground. And then it's showing Michael's face. And Michael was just like, oh, goodness gracious, right? And so she steps over the dress to him. And now they're really passionately making out. You see him up there in that top picture. And I said, you're in Nina's office, y'all. I mean, come on now. Come on, people. Right? So Nina walks through the door and says, oh my God. Michael turns and he just looks at her. And Jacinda's like, oh, but realistically, Michael is Nina's boss, right? He ain't gonna let her give him too much flack. He's just gonna say, oh, you know what, Nina, sorry. Jacinda and I got a little carried away. But it's unfortunately the designer dress is on the ground. Nina's gonna have a fit about that. But because Jacinda didn't take the time before she went over to Michael to pick it up. If you took the time to unzip it and take it off, you left it bundled up, bunched up on the ground. Come on, girl. So anyway, that was actually kind of funny. I'm going to we'll see what Michael says, but it'll be something like, you don't care. Please, girl, you work for me. We were just kissing in here. Our clothes were almost all off. That's all right. Now, they did a little public health plug today, and I happened to be watching General Hospital Live today, which is rare. And I saw a few commercials for this drug for eye mites, which I didn't even know there were eye mites, okay? I guess like there's dust mites, there's eye mites, and all kind of mites that the human body can have, right? Well, when they over multiply and they live in the I guess they said eyelashes, then it could cause some problems. You know how you always feel like something in your eye? What the heck's well, Elizabeth is like, oh goodness. And Felicia's like, what's the matter? She goes, "Ah, it's been for days. My eyes are itching, they're dry. Look, I done messed up my eyelashes. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And I'm just tired of rubbing them. And Felicia says, well, have you thought about seeing one of our ophthalmologists? She goes, no, but she goes, would you like me to look, see if I see anything? And Felicia gets a little closer. She goes, well, I don't see anything, but your eyelids do look a little crusty. I'm thinking pink eye, right? But her eyes would have been pink. And so she goes, let me see you, excuse me, if Dr. whatever his name is, or her name ends up being a woman, is available. So she walks away before Elizabeth could say no. Felicia comes back and says, oh, hey, Liz, Dr. Ophthalmologist is available to see you right now. And Elizabeth's like, wait, what? No, right now? So she goes and they say the clinical name for it. And her and Felicia were talking about it. And the funny thing is, they were talking about the stuff that the commercial was saying that they kept playing in between, right? Of GH. And I thought, they had a little deal with that pharmaceutical company, push that product, right? So anyway, the doctor prescribed her some eye drops because eye drops take care of it. I guess it kills them. Um, and yada yada yada. So that's what they did today. Out the blue with Elizabeth. GH made a little extra money from a sponsor. But anyway, everybody, that's it. I am getting better. I only had to pause this video one time So I'll be back on Monday, able to do the comment corners. Okay. So I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of General Hospital.